Welcome to Compass Points, the weekly podcast for CompassKnox.com. CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more.
Welcome to Compass Points, a podcast about Knoxville and Knox County government, politics, business, education, and just about anything else that grabs our attention. I am Scott Barker, editor of Compass, which is a subscription-based website and newsletter where we report on all news topics and more. You can find us at CompassKnox.com. We are recording this in an unusual way. I was not able to make it over to the opulent studios of Barbarian Productions over in Rocky Hill, so I am calling in remotely. And Lord Seth Barber, our producer, is going to make sure that everything goes smoothly. And Seth, I appreciate you accommodating me here. And how are things going over in Rocky Hill?
I mean, since apparently whenever I speak on here in the early section of the show, it's the weather report. The weather is fantastic. It is it's shorts weather, and I'm excited to have it. I'm looking forward to surviving this weekend. It's supposed to get a little dicey, but it's an exciting time in the city for me personally, as well as a number of fun items that have been going on this week that I'm excited to dive into on this week's podcast.
All right. Sounds good. Folks might need to know that we are recording this on Friday, which means, of course, it's March. So that means that by the time people listen to this on Sunday afternoon or Monday, it could be 30 degrees and snowing. So
that's correct. That's true.
This is East Tennessee. Anyway, we've got a few items to discuss this week. One is the state of Tennessee released the schools that have signed up so far to participate in the private school voucher program. And there are quite a few from Knox County, private schools from Knox County that have signed up to accept students with the scholarships that are provided through that program. Also, this is a related matter. We have the ongoing controversy over Betsy Henderson, the school board chair's appearance in the state legislature to talk in support of the voucher program. Drew some more criticism. This was actually the week before at the school board meeting. County Commissioner Terry Hill called her out in kind of an unusual development. The education department, we found out this week, is investigating the University of Tennessee for a complaint over anti-Semitic activities, I guess is the best way to put it. The incidents that as part of a nationwide kind of crackdown on that from the Trump administration. But we're going to start this episode by talking about stadium parking. As anyone who has been paying attention to the construction of the new baseball stadium, baseball and soccer and whatever else they can fit in there. The Covenant Health Park is the official name of it now. It's getting ready to open. The opening day for the Knoxville Smokies is April 15th. And one of the questions that has been on the lips of just about everybody who looks at who's been following this is, what are you going to do about parking? There is no, it's in an urban area. There are, they did not opt to build parking parking garage or anything else right next to the stadium. So people have been wondering, what are we going to do? How are you going to get there? And so this week, or last week, the Smokies and the city released their plan for game day parking, and it is going to be it's going to take some practice. I think people will really need to pay attention here, because obviously you're not going to be able just to drive up to the stadium and just park right in front of it, with a couple of exceptions. What they're going to do is they're going to utilize 2 downtown parking garages and cat shuttles to get people to the ballpark. One thing that people will really need to know is, especially if you go down to the old city for other reasons, the stadium is adjacent to the old city, just on the other side of the Hall of Fame Drive and James White Parkway overpasses. The old city, the traffic patterns in the old city will change on game days, only on game days. One thing that will take a lot of people getting used to is Central Street is going to be closed between Willow Avenue and Jackson Avenue, right through the heart of the old city on game days. So you won't be able to drive through the old city going north-south. You'll have to do that on Gay Street. But Willow Avenue will be one way going west. That will be to accommodate shuttles, actually. But then Jackson Avenue on the other side of the stadium will be one way going east, right in front of the main gate into the stadium. So you'll need to keep those traffic patterns in mind when going through the old city or to the old city, whether you're going to the game or not. This plan is for only for the Knoxville Smokies games. One Knoxville SC, the soccer club, is going to play there as well. They'll be announcing if there's anything you'll need to do for those matches when later on before they actually start playing soccer, which is not going to be long. It's not going to be long after the Smokies' first homestand. But for the rest of the folks, there are 2 parking garages downtown that are going to be the primary places to go. The Summer Place Garage and the Langley Garage. Those are just almost adjacent to Market Square. It's right across the street from Market Square Garage. And so there are going to be 450 spaces in Summer Place, 650 in Langley, and those will be dedicated for Smokies fans. And you'll have to go to the Smokies website and reserve your space in one of those garages. It's going to cost you $5.
So let me interrupt with a question there. So if I want to go down to Market Square on a Friday evening when there's a game going on, I will not be able to park in those garages.
Well, you can pay $5 to park there, but
I have to. But I can't just pull up.
No. You can go to the Market Square Garage. You can go to State Street Garage, but the Langley and the Summer Place garages will be reserved. Those spaces will be reserved for Smokies fans.
But normally on the weekends, those are free parking, though. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
they're not highly used. I know that because they're a little bit further off.
They are not. They are not. That's
so okay.
One of the reasons they're using these.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I just, like I said, it was the people who are used to just like, I don't care about baseball. I'm going downtown for the night.
Yeah.
They get to go. You just go where you normally go, and hopefully most of the baseball fans will be in these other ones.
Right. Now, one of the things that they did when I looked at this is, of course, they looked at the standard for stadium events nationwide, and basically you need a parking space for every 2.5 people who attend your event. The Covenant Health Park has seating capacity of around 7,000. So a sellout crowd would need about 2,800 spaces. Now, that's 1,100 in those garages. There's some other spaces I'll get to in a minute that are also kind of reserved for the stadium use. But they need about 2,800 spaces for a sellout crowd, and they have about the total parking spaces in the whole surrounding area, about 9,000 spaces. So, it would take up close to a third of all the available spaces within less than a mile, within about 0.8 of a mile from the stadium. Now, these two garages that are going to be reserved for fans, the Langley garage and the Summer Place garage, are about 0.7 of a mile from the stadium. You can walk that in about 15 minutes, or Knoxville Area Transit is going to be running shuttles on game days between those garages and the stadium. The shuttle ride takes about 5 minutes. We're going to be running on 10-minute intervals from those two garages, and also they'll be going right in front of the Market Square garage. So if you park there, and you can park in any of the garages and still go to the game. You don't have to park in Langley and Summer Place, but you can pick up the shuttles there no matter where you park, and ride those over to the stadium. And those shuttles will be free, from my understanding. So there are a couple of other things to know if people who have ADA needs. If you got a placard or a license tag identifying yourself as someone who is dealing with a handicap, there is handicap parking or ADA parking next to the stadium. It's under the overpass there, so it's right there next to the stadium, and there will be at least 70 ADA accessible spaces in that lot, and you can just drive up there with your if you have a placard or a license tag or license plate, and park there. There's also going to be a drop off for people who take Uber or whatever, right there on Willow. So there'll be drop off points there. Also, season ticket holders will be able to, for Smokies games, will have some spaces under that overpass as well as another lot nearby. Obviously there's going to be a charge for that, but that's on top of your season ticket. There's also another lot nearby for employees of the stadium as well. So, there will be, just be assured that there are going to be some difficulties at first when people start getting used to this. I think if you're going to opening day, you'll need to go fairly early. As we noted last week, they've already announced that they're going to start festivities a few hours before game time, just so you can get down there early if you want, and there will be things to do. But and we'll see how this goes. I think there are a lot of people out there who are very skeptical that downtown has the parking to handle this. I don't know. A lot of people, especially in the old city on a weekend when there are a lot of activities going on down there, that can be that's where the real challenge will be. Is when you've got a lot of people going down that don't care about baseball. They're just going to the restaurants and the clubs in the old city, and then you've got baseball. I think First Friday games that are going to be on First Friday. Of course, that's not very often. And I haven't looked at the schedule to see if there are any scheduled on First Fridays, but that could be a challenge for sure.
Well, a little bit of random things that I end up learning in all the things that I do. I have First Friday has reached out to me to maybe do a First Friday up in Happy Holler. I'm guessing as a option to replace some of their old city stuff that they've done for previous events.
Well, one of the things that First Friday has essentially expanded beyond downtown already.
Right.
One of the galleries that is real active and they promote for First Friday a lot is the Kendora Marble Factory in the Marble Building, in South Knoxville. There are others that are outside the Lilienthal Gallery in Emory Place, which is north of the old city, is there. It's not as far north as Happy Holler, but it is not a stretch by any measure that they would want venues in Happy Holler to be active in First Friday. So.
Right. The weekend I'm most excited about, I was trying to grab my laptop to look it up real quick. There will be a home Smokies game on the home opener for the UT football, if I read the schedules correctly. That's going to be a fun weekend for parking. But by then, hopefully some things will be figured out.
That will be a challenge. Of course, most of the UT game day traffic is on the other end of downtown. But there are plenty of people who park downtown and go down to the to Neyland Stadium, and so it'll be quite interesting.
Right. I think it's a valid conversation to have as far as there are weekends now where you can go downtown and it can be a little bit of a struggle because there's stuff going on at the Civic, there's stuff going on at the Bijou, there's stuff going on at the Tennessee Theater, there's all the normal stuff going on in Market Square, there's all the normal stuff going on in the Old City, and then you throw a 700 or 7,000 seat mixed use building on top of that. I could see it getting a little dicey a few weekends here and there, but but that's the side, to me, that's the side of a good growing thing. Like, I would rather have a little bit of bad parking on a weekend event than to have 5 more parking garages built up. That's my opinion, not a statement of fact. But, parking garages are boring. They're dumb. I would rather have people figure out how to use the CAT bus system or something like that to enjoy our downtown than to have just parking on parking on parking.
Yeah, well, there are lots of urban planners who would agree with you. And and one of the things that's kind of talked about in this is that a lot of these spaces that are available around the old city downtown, there are they're close to the stadium. It's a perception thing where if you can't just see directly to the stadium, but there are buildings in the way, or whatever, then the perception is it's a lot further. I mean, people have no problem parking at the edge of the Westtown Mall parking lot and walking all the way across a big parking lot,
right, like a quarter mile
into the mall, and then much further down the mall to get to the store they want to go to. They have no problem doing that. They can see that. It's not
right, to
obscured by rows of other buildings.
Right, to prove your point, when my kids were young and we went to the zoo regularly, it was very off-putting when I had to park down at the bottom of the hill, even though they had a shuttle that drove me up to the top. I always wanted to be in that top parking lot because I could see the entrance from there.
Right, and so that'll take some getting used to. It could be that after the first season, people just get it doesn't. Adjustments might have to be made. Of course, it takes a while to build a parking garage, so it would be. But I think they're pretty much counting on people being able to adapt and people being able to find parking. And I think that the main thing is, especially if you don't go downtown very often, if you go to a Smokies game, go early and get your space, and
right, and do some internet sleuthing and find a couple of options before you leave your house, so that when A is full, you know where B is, instead of just blindly driving around downtown looking for something.
Yeah, because that's the worst. The worst of all possible worlds is driving around downtown trying to figure out where to go to park, because A, you get frustrated because you can't find a parking space, and B, everybody else is frustrated because they're a lot of people just driving around downtown. They don't have a destination.
Right.
They're just driving around looking and clogging up the streets. So, but we will find out on April 15th, which is opening day, how this parking plan is going to work out, at least on early on. I'm sure, like we said, there going to be some growing pains, but there is a plan in place. So, and I'm sure there's going to be more announcements about things at the stadium coming up in the coming weeks. They've been kind of trickling out information about what's going to go on, and so we will we'll be following that. Of course, probably opening day is probably it on our coverage, because we don't cover sports, so we won't be covering the games necessarily. But it's been a long time coming. It's a very expensive project, $114 million. The city and the county, the state's paid some. Randy Boyd, the owner of Boyd Sports and the the Knoxville Smokies, it's cheap, and he's got some skin in the game as well. So we will see. It is the return of minor league baseball to Knoxville after a 25-year hiatus. So, and speaking of Randy Boyd, who, as our listeners know, is also the president of the University of Tennessee, he received a letter last week from the Office of Civil Rights of the Department of Education, and notifying him that the university is one of 60 institutions nationwide. They're under scrutiny for their treatment of Jewish students on their campuses. The Office of Civil Rights, the Education Department, is in charge of enforcing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which bans discrimination. And now the Trump administration has focused entirely on antisemitism. They haven't. There's no mention in this letter or any other that I've heard of. We're talking about any other types of discrimination that they're focusing on. but there are 60 schools with outstanding complaints of anti-Semitism that they are going to be looking at. Now, the Columbia University has already been hit. The Office of Civil Rights or the Department of Education canceled about $400 million in grants and contracts with Columbia. Columbia, if you folks remember, was home to many of the largest and most contentious protests in 2023 over the war in Gaza. So a lot of pro-Palestinian protests there. The Department of Education's already gotten them. They are also having what are called directed investigations into 4 other schools. Those schools, those are schools where they have larger complaints or larger, and they had bigger protests. Those schools are Northwestern University, Portland State, Cal Berkeley, and the University of Minnesota. And so they are it's more directed investigations. The other schools, UT and the 55 others, are getting they're having the allegations against them reviewed. It doesn't sound as menacing as what's going on with those other 4 schools in Columbia, but they want to try to get those complaints resolved. We got we checked in with UT. There's only one outstanding complaint against UT of anti-Semitism. One student has complained. We also got a copy of that complaint, although it was heavily redacted by the Office of Civil Rights, almost to the point where you have to kind of decipher what it's saying. No names were used. No names were visible. It was all blacked out. So, but the complaint against UT, there were 3 parts to it. This student, during the protests on campus during 2023, which were nonviolent, there were some people arrested for staying in areas beyond the amount of time that they were allotted to stay, and or got on university property when they weren't supposed to, or sections of university property. There were some arrests, but there's no violence. The protesters were not violent at all. But the student took exception to the chant that many pro-Palestinian protesters use. It's from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. That, of course, refers to what is the land occupied by the nation of Israel. And this student said that interprets that as a call for the death of all Jewish people. So not merely a call for Palestinian rule over that area. So or the demise of the state of Israel. This is that was one complaint. Another was that there was a campus Middle Eastern organization. As they said, like I said, the exact names, even of these organizations, were redacted. That they excluded Jewish students from their gatherings, and so that although the nation of Israel, of course, is in the Middle East, so they thought that they should be included in those. The third allegation involved a UT instructor. The redactions are so heavy in this section that it's almost impossible. It is impossible to just look at this and figure out what that was. However, as we reported back in November of 2023, there was a student, presumably the same person. We don't know with 110% or 100% confidence, but 99.9% confident that it's the same one. That there was they filed a complaint with UT and presumably went on to file one with the Office of Civil Rights about a class session where a professor criticized Israeli government actions in Gaza, and they were discussing what is called settler colonialism. For those of us who are not taking sociology classes or whatever, that is different from this traditional colonialism. Traditional colonialism is when one country takes over the political operations of another country, like the Great Britain did with India, say, where they administered the Indian government for many years, but the Indians stayed there. I mean, they didn't leave them out. Settler colonialism is when the new government brings in people to replace the indigenous people. That's what happened in North America with the Native American population. The colonialism there was that we Europeans came in and displaced the Native Americans, and that was exactly what happened. This professor apparently was very critical of Israel, made comparisons to the Israeli government to Nazi Germany, and the whole point of connecting that with settler colonialism is, of course, the part of that is the Israeli settlements on the West Bank, which are in areas that are supposedly reserved for Palestinians, and basically segregating Palestinians to Gaza. So the UT at the time said they spoke to the professor and the leadership of the college, with the College of Arts and Sciences, about the concerns that they had about the session. But apparently, this is the same one, because this was filed around the same time that this happened. The complaint with the Office of Civil Rights. So they are all looking into that. The acting secretary for civil rights in the department, Craig Traynor, is the one who wrote the letter, and in the letter said that the Trump administration would not tolerate actions that create a hostile environment for Jewish students, and they said that he defined that as conduct that is sufficiently severe, pervasive, or persistent, so as to interfere or limit the ability of an individual to participate in school activities. And I don't, so they're going to be looking at that. However, just the day after that, excuse me, the Department of Education announced that they were going to be firing 1,300 employees, many of them in the Office of Civil Rights, which was already backlogged. This was a 2023 complaint that UT against UT, and it's 2025 now, so it's been a little over a year. It was November of 2023 when it was filed, and it's still outstanding. And but the Department of Education fired 1,300 people. It's almost half the workforce. As I said, many of them in the Office of Civil Rights. In fact, several of the field offices of the Office of Civil Rights are shuttered. So who knows how long it will actually take for the Office of Civil Rights to go through all these complaints. But these schools are on notice that if they are found to have routinely violated students' rights, then the funding will be at risk. It's hard to imagine that one complaint would meet the criteria that Traynor laid out, being pervasive and persistent. But that's why they do investigations and take a look at things like this. So that will be something at some point in the future. Who knows how long it will take? But at some point in the future, that will they should come out with a resolution on that. And we'll certainly report on that when that happens. And another switch now to K through 12 education, and we had some interesting developments. At the school board meeting about a week and a half ago, the county commissioner Terry Hill made an appearance. Very unusual for a member of a local governing body to appear at a meeting of another elected body, especially with unless it's something like going to the Stratford County Commission and asking for more funding or something like that. This was very unusual because Terry Hill went there to register her displeasure about Board Chair Betsy Henderson's appearance at during the special session on education at the state legislature.
Hey, Scott, let me interrupt you with a question here.
Yes.
When Terry appeared, did she appear in her role as a county commissioner or as a citizen of Knox County? She
said she was appearing as a citizen of Knox County, although she also and this was weird. We'll kind of get to this in a minute, but she also made some other points we'll get to. But just to set us up, Betsy Henderson went to Capitol Hill in Nashville right after the school board voted against including support for school vouchers on its list of legislative priorities. She went and testified in support of school vouchers, contradicting the vote of the school board. Now, when she went there, she announced that they announced that she was she announced that she was the chair of the Knox County School Board. Did not say that that the school board did not support vouchers, but she did say she was speaking in her personal capacity and not in her official role. Even though, of course, everybody there knew what that official role was. Terry Hill did the exact same thing. When she talked to the school board, because she went there, she said, of course, I'm county commissioner, and she's also a former school board chair herself. And she not only did that, she asked for a little personal privilege extending the time that she had to speak. And then, but she did say she was speaking in her capacity as a private citizen. So make that what you will. But anyway, Hill's point was that that Henderson going to the legislature and in support of a measure that the board did not support as a whole was inappropriate. And she talked about she implored the school board to take a look at its ethics policies. One of the they, like the county, it's pretty toothless, and so is the counties. And she, Hill admitted that, but she also talked about how the school board has the authority to set its code of ethics and can change it if they so desire. And noted that the Tennessee School Board Association, which trains as training sessions for newly elected school board members across the state, they emphasize that members should share the responsibility for the votes that are taken, even when they're in the minority, and that they should still note when speaking in public that the board as a whole voted a certain way. And she said that as board chair, that Henderson has a greater responsibility to reflect the views of the board as a whole. Interesting thing is, Henderson, and Henderson was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago. And she said, hey, I ran on support for school vouchers. Constituents elected me, and Hill took a little exception to that. They both represent the same district, District 6, which is the Hardin Valley and Carnes areas. And Hill kind of pushed back on the notion that her constituents were all supportive of the of school vouchers. But Henderson didn't speak at the meeting, but said since then that Hill needs to stick to the business of the county commission and not attack her for supporting what she sees as freedom of choice for Knox County families regarding their where they're going to send their kids to school. So a little bit more drama that Henderson's appearance at the legislature was in late January, and it's still kind of controversial. And we had don't know if this will continue because she's not going to be stepping down or anything like that. So there would have to be some kind of movement among board members to remove her. If that, I doubt very seriously that will be done. We also had Catherine Bach, who's a school board member on our show. She certainly was going to do it. And Henderson is a Republican, and there's a Republican majority. I just don't see that happening. But a lot of times things like this just kind of cool down on their own. But there were a lot of people who were very angry about the voucher program in general. So, in fact, there was more news about vouchers that was made last week. The state Department of Education released an announcement that 162 schools across the state of Tennessee have signed up to participate in the Tennessee Education Freedom Scholarship Program, which is what the voucher program is called. The program provides scholarships, $7,295 for students who can they can use that to pay. Their parents can use that to pay for their private school tuition. That was Governor Bill Lee's signature legislation for the year, and he really trumpeted the fact that these schools across the state had signed up, and 13 of them are from Knox County. So these are private schools in Knox County that are participating in the program. There are 13 of them. One of the several of the Catholic schools are most all of them are have some sort of religious affiliation. There's that. There's the Anur Academy of Knoxville, which is a Muslim school. The Stanford Eisenberg Knoxville Jewish Day School is also involved. Concord Christian School, Grace Christian Academy, First Lutheran School, several others, Temple Baptist Academy is a large one. They're all willing to take on students who are paying part of their tuition with these scholarships. And I say part because only 2 schools of the 13 who signed up have tuition that is less than the amount of the scholarship. And a third school, if you have multiple kids from the same family, they end up they get discounts. You get discounts as more kids you have in that school. They get then the average cost per student goes down below that $7,295 level. Anyway, the only ones that have tuition for all students that are below the scholarship amount are Temple Baptist Academy and Rivers Edge Christian Academy. And Rivers Edge is an interesting school. It's a hybrid private school, homeschool setup. So I believe it's 3 days in at school and 2 days with home instruction. So that's kind of an odd arrangement. The other one is the school that has discounts for multiple students that ends up, if you have more than one student, it ends up being less than the tuition amount or the scholarship amount. Is One School Global Knoxville, which is a school that is operated by the Plymouth Brethren. It's in North Knoxville. And so with the others, tuition is generally $10,000 or more. So, and that doesn't include fees. And all these schools have fees added to it. It doesn't include transportation. So the families that would use these scholarships, generally speaking, if they don't get any other financial aid from the school, will have to make up the difference with their own funds. And so that's one of the reasons that that a lot of people were skeptical of the voucher program. The state analyzed this and noted that about 2/3 of the students who are going to be using the scholarship program, based on what other states have experienced, will be people who are already in private schools. So it will be a supplement to families that can already afford to go to school, even though it's been billed as a way to help people who can't afford to go to private schools but are trapped, quote unquote, in failing public schools. So, but it will. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, the school with the highest tuition that has signed up so far is Christian Academy Knoxville. It costs tuition, according to their website, $17,760 a year per student. So if you're a family and you want to use the scholarship to go to Christian Academy Knoxville, you'll still owe more than $10,000, almost $10,500 in tuition, and that doesn't include the fees. And so that's that does kind of lend some credence, lots of credence to the idea that that the program is primarily for people whose kids are already in public schools. So, already in private schools. Now, more students can sign up, or more schools can sign up. It's not done yet, and so that list may grow. And the state has not put out a way put out a way to apply for the scholarships yet. They say that is coming soon. So those are just some of the things that we have covered in the past week at Compass. Again, it's CompassKnox.com. You can go to the website there. You can subscribe, get our access to our feature length stories on the website, and a daily newsletter that is packed with other news items. In fact, of the four topics we discussed this week, three of them were in the newsletter only. So you can go there, sign up, and you'll be able to get reporting on government, politics, business, and such in Knox County there. So that's we're going to turn our attention now to next week. And next week we have Tuesday is City Council Day. The Charter Procedures and Charter Review Task Force, which they're looking at possible changes to how City Council does its business, and if there are any changes that might need to be made to the charter. They meet at 3:30 on Tuesday. At 5, council meets as the beer board. At 6 is the regular meeting. And the agenda isn't chock full of real controversial items, but there is something that's coming up that is not only interesting in and of itself, but of interest to our producer, Seth Barber. So, and what that is an ordinance. It's actually an amendment, amending an ordinance governing beer sales at special events. Currently, you can only serve beer at special events on public property in certain locations, like Market Square or World's Fair Park. You have to get special event permits to do that. And they designate the law that currently designates places in the city where you can do this. There are other places you can do it as well, Lakeshore Park, for example. But you have to get special events permit and a beer permit, a temporary special beer permit as well. But the revision to this is basically going to open up these types of sales to all areas of the city, where you can, if you have a special event, it can be on public property, it can be on private property as well. You have to a parking parking lot or whatever. These are so people can carry open containers of alcohol around and enjoy the outdoors while they're enjoying their adult beverage. And Seth, you are interested in this because why?
Because, as regular listeners know, I'm one of the organizers with Holleroo Hollerboo in Happy Holler, and we would like to be able to serve alcohol as part of our event on Central Avenue as we have it shut down otherwise. And so really what it is we're asking for it to be fair to the rest of the city. When you go down through what the current ordinances have and stuff like that, you can shut down different streets. You can shut down pretty much any street in the city of Knoxville with a few exceptions to hold a special event. You could do, like I've done mine on Central. The Bike Walk Knox does their event annually where they shut down sections when they make it a big street fair where people can ride their bicycles and walk and, encourage physical activity and stuff like that. But the only sections in the city of Knoxville that were permitted to shut down the street for a special event and serve alcohol on that street was Gay Street proper. And as mentioned earlier in the stadium section, the two main roads in the Old City. Those of you that had the chance this past Saturday got to go down to the Old City. That one block was shut down for a One Knox FC, season opening event kind of thing where they had it shut down and alcohol service was permitted on that section of Central. And so the ask that I've been working on for this was I would like that option for my little neighborhood because, we're trying the point to me on why these things exist in the first place, especially for the two places they're allowed, was when downtown Knoxville, Gay Street, and the Old City were mostly ghost towns most of the nights. We didn't have much nightlife in the city proper. And so it was a way to encourage growth for the business community down there, get more activity going on, make investment worth it to people to spend a bunch of money to build a bar or a restaurant, or Regal build that movie theater down there. Those kind of things to grow that downtown area, and it worked. And I would like that to work for me, and I would like that to work for the Sevier Avenue group, especially, Sevier Avenue is getting double punished right now with a major roadworks project and losing their Gay Street Bridge. Well, one of the things they could do to make sure they stay on the map in Knoxville is maybe throw a special event. And so this is a way for some other communities, other small districts to be able to take advantage of some of that. And, and again, the other part too is I like the idea of, if you live nearby, it's a neighborhood community event that we put on, you're walking home anyway, instead of driving downtown for a thing and then having to drive back or Uber back or, other methods of getting to and from the place that you want to go out drinking for the night. This is the one that's 2 blocks from your house and you can just walk home. And that's one of the focuses there. And one of the things I feel like it's important to get out there is it's not like we're going to run into every weekend some street in Knoxville or multiple streets in Knoxville are going to be shut down for a booze event. But that's not what's going to happen. These events are complicated and difficult to put on. There's a lot of red tape with the city, but there's a lot of parts and pieces in play just to put on an event that's comfortable and enjoyable for the people you're trying to put it on. So I want to put that part to bed. It's not going to be a concern where you're going to have a block party on your street every weekend because some guy fills out a form. It's a lot more. There's a lot more to it to put this together. It's just going to make it so that myself and Happy Holler, again, Sevier Avenue is another good example that could do well with something like this. Or you can get out here to some of the west, like Kingston Pike's not going to get shut down for a party. But some of the side streets that have some commercial stuff around them, I think it'd be a fun, cool something if somebody did something in the now I'm blanking out on the name.
The Hamburg area.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That Hamburg area right there.
Beard is one that came to mind.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I was thinking of. That'd be that little Hamburg side stretch there that goes down by the train tracks and stuff. You could have a really cool community event. It's really fun and really engaging and gets a lot of people out to see some of those businesses, the zoo, Biketopia, and some of those that are stuck back in there that are hard to see when you're just driving down Kingston Pike all the time. And that's the point, and that's what we want out of it. I think it's an equity conversation at some point. Why does one section of the town get it and the other section doesn't? That's all we're really asking for and trying to get this through.
Well, all right. Well, that's going to be a really, I mean, from looking at the preliminary agenda for the city council meeting, it's not be the central issue that they'll be discussing. So
I'll be down there if you want to come talk to me about it. I'm registering to speak at the meeting to probably do a similar pitch to what I just did. I think it's important for Knoxville as it grows. Like I said, going back to the old city conversation and all the baseball stuff. I mean, that's direct investment from the city into a neighborhood to get growth. This is an indirect. Right. There's no money. The city's not going to have to put up dollars. They're not taking your tax dollars to help this neighborhood grow. They're just allowing us to do something with our own money to help our neighborhood grow.
Well, all right. Well, we will, obviously touch base next week in Compass Points to see how the vote went. Now it's an ordinance, so they have to vote on it twice at consecutive meetings. So this is first reading of the ordinance, and we'll check in with you next week, Seth, about the outcome of the vote. And other than that, we pretty much wrapped up what we were going to talk about for this episode of Compass Points. Thank you, Seth, again for your work, and he is our producer, our Barbarian Productions. Our music is by Will Wright, who is actually going to be performing at the Big Ears Festival later this month. We will get out of here now and talk to you again next week.
CompassKnox.com is your best source for news and politics in Knoxville and Knox County. If you'd like to learn more about the topics discussed on today's podcast, go to CompassKnox.com and subscribe for in-depth coverage and much more. And many thanks to William Wright for composing our theme song. Compass Points is a partnership of Barking Shark Media and Barbarian Productions, and recorded by Lord Seth A. Barber at Barbarian Studios, Knoxville, Tennessee.